Hi, I'm Yolanda, Case Manager 3 in Permanent Supportive Housing. Today I'm going to be talking about how I facilitate client visits from start to finish. But first, let's breathe. The first thing that I do is I prep for the visit. At least 2 to 3 minutes before the visit, I review the client's notes. I just look at the recent case activity for the client. I confirm the purpose of the visit. I check in housing update, referrals, resources, crisis intervention, etc. I gather my materials ahead of time flyers, resources, anything I think might be beneficial to the client. And I make sure I have it with me. I like to have things tangible. I like to have papers that I can hand to my client. Yeah, we can text, but I just like to. I text as well. I'll email, I'll text the information, but I like to make sure that I sit down with my client and hand them physical papers that they can look at. Personally, I like to have things visual, so I try to have visual things for my clients as well. I like to check my own energy at the door. I think it's really important that I ground myself, that I breathe, I take my time, I use my smudge spray, and I dust off any energy that I may have from a prior client or anything that I may be going through, because I think it's really important that I go in there with the proper energy for my client. I don't rush. I take my time. I might move even slower than normal because it's really, really important that I set the tone for my client. I like to greet my client warmly but professionally. This client in particular, she has a hard time with folks in uniform. And as you can see, I love to have a uniform. Even if my job doesn't require me to have a uniform, I go out of my way to create a uniform because I think it's really important to look professional and it helps my mind state when I'm working. But also, I am intentionally trying to transition this client in particular into being comfortable with someone in uniform, into trying to create a healthy relationship with her and me while I'm in uniform to help her to have a better connection with that because she has terrible experiences with folks in uniform, which is completely understandable. I always let my client lead the conversation. Before we even start talking, I ask my client, is this a good time to talk? How do you feel? And I let my client lead the conversation, but I will guide the conversation. I use a lot of motivational interviewing with my client as well to guide the conversation in a more positive light and help my client to reflect and come to her own conclusions. So, today, for example, I visit with my client for a bit, and then her son was dropped off by a foster parent. My client's child is in foster care, and I facilitate the visits for my client. My client doesn't have family, and she's not really close to anyone, so I'm happy to step up as her case manager and facilitate the visits between her and her son. This has been a long time coming for her, and I've supported her through it. She worked really hard and did a lot of classes, and now she can have visits. They're supervised, but they're visits with her son. And I just sit, I monitor. I pretty much try to let her be a mother, let her enjoy her time. I only engage if she asks me to. I never take my eyes off of the child. That's my first priority when I'm facilitating visits. But I respect her and her boundaries and her baby. I'm always trying to connect her with resources and things that can support her through this process, like counseling classes, anger management classes. That's my job, to be there for her and to be resourceful for her and help her through any process that she's going in through her life. I always make sure to check in with her before ending off. Like, for example, today, her son was picked up. After he was picked up, we did the visit here at McDonald's. And after her son was picked up, I still sat with her and met with her for 5 to 10 minutes before she headed out. On days like this, I'll meet up with my client, I'll facilitate the visit with her and speak with her before and after. And then I'll head my way, she'll head her way. Normally, if we're not doing something like that, I'll take her home. But in this case, I try to make sure my client stays independent and not codependent on me. Normally, our clients are extremely resilient, so I don't like to overstep or overserve. I like to allow her to be independent. Today went really, really well. I just wanted to share this with you all today, and I think that if you're a case manager or even someone in the same situation, this could be beneficial to you. I always schedule a follow up appointment with my client after the visit is over. I make sure to set that appointment before I leave my client. And I always call the day before to confirm that we're still doing the visit, we're still meeting. After a visit, I always document everything. So that's what I'm doing right now. I decided to do this video, but I'm going to continue to sit here. I'm going to pull out my computer and I'm going to pull out my phone. I'm going to make sure that I have her appointment in my calendar in my phone. I'm going to make sure I update her notes. I'm going to make sure I update my notebook, and I like to do that if I can, because when I'm in the field sometimes I can't, but I like to do all those things once the visit is done, right after, so everything's still fresh on my mind and accurate. I like to follow up on referrals or contacts made with that particular client after as well. It's really important to document in a timely manner. Can't stress that enough. And I just want to say thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm still doing my birthday countdown. So, yeah, I have a lot of ideas and exciting things coming for this channel. Stick with me, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.